this will pay off because you can't stop. At the end of the day, you can't stop. The places that we're in, the rough patches that we go through, actually like birth the music. Those verses come from a real place. When I write that stuff, it's like it's real. I had to kind of find the good in the bad, if you will. You know what I mean? Like, I know me working this 9 to 5 is causing stress, it's causing friction, but this friction is causing creativity. You know what I mean? If I don't have this friction, I have nothing to express.
Hey everybody, I'm Zeplyn Tillman.
And I'm Aaron Landrum.
Welcome to the Soul and Success Podcast, a show for millennials featuring top leaders, influencers, and musicians bringing you the best content about how creating and maintaining a healthy soul leads to success. On today's show, we discuss taking time for ourselves with BlaqueStone.
BlaqueStone is a music couple infused of soul, jazz, and hip-hop with an outstanding live band. The quality of art, music, and dedication put forth by this industrious couple is definitely making a mark and an impact on the music community. The couple consists of rapper, singer, songwriter, and producer Nyne. The other half is singer, rapper, songwriter Nyne, also known as Queen. BlaqueStone is traveling up and down the East Coast and has received positive response to their music. They also have a heart for outreach and are very much focused on the community.
So BlaqueStone,
Yeah.
Yay.
thank you all so much for being here.
Thanks for
Definitely.
having
Thank y'all
us.
for having us.
This
Yeah.
is a super special episode, not just, knowing you all personally, but also because you all are truly amongst the most talented, rising artists coming out of the DMV right now. So
Thank
it's an
you.
absolute,
Thank
pleasure to
you.
have you. So we started this podcast because we noticed kind of this lack in mainstream conversation about success, conversations about our soul, apart from religion, and just conversations on how internally glowing up shows up externally. So the way we start each podcast is with some quote or theme from a book, movie, or TV show, and then we kind of, get into it and allow that to lead the conversation. So first segment is called Mood, just because you can't really do anything in life or have any impact that's going to be special if you haven't set the mood, right? So I'm going to read this quote, and then we'll talk about how this feels. Andre 3000, 3 Stacks, one of half of hip-hop's most popular groups, Outkast. Shout out to Big Boy, too. I don't think he gets enough credit.
Yes.
Doesn't.
You know what I'm saying? He did this interview with GQ magazine late last month about where he's kind of been since the last Cast album, Speaker Box, Love Below, the classic. And he talked about a couple of different things. I mean, everything from this bunker that he lives in if a bomb drops to an Anita Baker clothing line. So he was kind of all over the place. But one of the things he touched on was why he chose to leave the spotlight after the Speaker Box project due to social anxiety and needing to take a break from the bubble that he'd been in for almost a decade up until that point. So he says, before that album, I moved to California. It started a little bit before then, and I just chucked it off. Yeah, man, I need to take a break. And I started to notice that it was getting worse and worse because the more you run from it, the worse it gets. You don't want to explain it because you don't want to be the weak link around your friends. I never told my crew for a long time, so I just started getting to myself, spending more time with myself, and stopped touring. And it felt great for me to do because it's like, whew, I don't like that life. I don't like that confrontation. So let's just kind of kick it off and get right to it. I mean, what do you all think about this quote? Maybe a 15-year solitude isn't necessary, but is it important to take time for ourselves every now and again, even though it's not really what society preaches?
Yeah, I think taking time for yourself is definitely needed. Not just taking time for yourself, but incorporating that into your daily actions. Because what tends to happen, just like what 3 Stacks just said, is that if you don't do it weekly, daily, as an individual, it starts to build up, and over time, you're going to want to explode, and then you take a 15-year hiatus. But if you incorporate that, now, you'll know how to say no and yes daily.
Yeah. No, I think taking time for yourself is extremely important. You can really get out of tune with yourself. If you're not really taking that time to breathe and really find your own voice, being amongst so many people all the time for months at a time, whatever the case may be, you can just, you're around people all the time. You pick up influence. You pick up on these people. You pick up some of their habits, some of their, you just pick up on them,
Yeah.
And I think if you're not careful, you lose yourself. Yeah. You know what I mean? Just going full throttle all the time, because I don't even think we're, meant to be so engulfed in these tasks like we are.
Right.
You know what I mean? But,
right.
So I guess even for you all, what does that look like?
one is I would say check and balance between the both of us.
Mm.
So making sure that we're both on the same page. And again, knowing when to say no. And I've learned that from Marcus. Sometimes I want to do something and I'm like, yo, this would be a great opportunity. And he's like, no, it's not time. You know, and I learned that from him because it makes me sit back and say, wow, it's not time. You know, it's not time. It's okay. And vice versa. If he wants to do something and we talk about it and it's like, well, I don't know how that's going to, you know, sit well with us, and we don't do, and we learn from that experience and we keep growing and we keep moving forward. Or having time and practice to just jam out. We like that time for the band and for ourselves to kind of just take 30 minutes or so and just like get that weekly, you know, you've been around all these people for a week. Sometimes people just want to jam out and get their emotions out, and nobody gives them a chance to do that. So we keep that there for them so that they can feel happy about coming to rehearsal, you know? So it's not like a drag.
To kind of go in a different route, even the fact that we're in a relationship, you know, so you have this, you know, we do music, you know, and that's a 24/7 thing. In a relationship, it's a 24/7 thing. So if you're not careful, I mean, I can just be honest, if you're not careful, you find yourself just being more like partners, you know what I mean? So it's like, you know, we're together, but, you know, we haven't been on a date in a while. We haven't sat down in a while. We have, you know, every time we get together, we're talking about, well, what's the next move? And have you talked to this person? Have you hit up this person? And it becomes just this, you know, emotionless type of routine. And, you know, and if that happens, you know, you can look up 8 months later and be like, yo, we haven't been on a date in a minute. You know, I don't know where you're at mentally. You know, you don't know where I'm at. So
I think that's super important. How do you all individually define it for yourselves? Because it seems like in order to even be able to do it within a relationship, you individually almost have to have that for yourself. So how can you all talk about how you specifically take that time out for yourselves?
For me, like, even the job I work, right? So the job I work, I can't have my phone in there. And I don't have a lot to do all the time. So I'll really just I sometimes sit there and just like think like, yo, and get my thoughts together, write some stuff out. Sometimes I use music as a form of expression to get these ideas out. But sometimes I just sit back and think, like, write stuff down, maybe have in-depth conversations with friends instead of just shallow passerby type conversations. Let's really get in depth and let's really voice how we feel. So yeah, for me, it's just a lot of meditation, you know what I mean, in a way, really just kind of sitting back and reflecting on life. I'm a big reflector on my life and, you know, where I've come from and what I've changed and what still needs to be changed. So just really having that personal one-on-one time with myself.
That's love. For me, I'm a big nature person.
Okay.
Meaning,
I've been seeing you on the gram.
You see it?
Yeah, always out.
Always out. Always with nature. Like, if I'm not feeling it, if something in my spirit is not sitting so well, nature calls it out. It's just like, go take a walk, go stare at somebody's tree, go look at somebody's star up in the sky. Like, I'm that person.
Go to the lake.
Go to the lake. Like, I need nature because I'm connected to it. We move just like the trees move. We have seasons just like the trees have seasons. Therefore, I go back to where it all starts. And literally, me being around nature, me writing out goals, me just like having that silence, letting the wind kind of get in the spirit and just breathing, letting your thoughts calm, it changes life. It changed my life. So,
No, I feel you. And this is like really how you are too, though. Like, I remember, like, you know, seeing you out sometimes, you know, you'd be like, yo, so how are you doing? I'd be like, you know, I'm good. Like, not really, you know, focus. You'd be like, you kind of have this look like, yo, no, really, how are you doing? Like, smile, son. Like you don't look happy, like that sort of thing. And I found myself coming back to those moments and those conversations and being like, my self-care is really on like a 1. Like, I'm not really that happy right now. Like, I'm accomplishing things, I'm moving, but feel kind of like miserable at times. And so I've definitely worked out of that space. But how do you find that place inside of you to know, like, okay, this is what I need to do in order to get in tune with me? And I noticed, Marcus, you know, a couple of minutes ago, you were kind of talking about we have influences from a lot of different people, and sometimes that can kind of come on us. Like, so how do you all find that inside of you to know, like, okay, I need to go to this place?
Yeah, man, I really like reflect on my life and moments. Like, I'm really just all in my head a lot, and I'm always kind of thinking about interactions I have with people. You know, I'm a big overthinker, but thinking nonetheless about myself. Like, a lot of times I'll notice, you know, when I'm lacking, like when I'm just, you know, angry or when I'm just overly just anxious about stuff, I'm like, man, I need to kind of calm down. You know, I need to kind of step away and just kind of back up. It doesn't really happen too much, but you know, that's how I know when it happens. You know what I mean? Because when it comes, it's just like, yo, I need to rest. I need to kind of detach a little bit and sit back and go get some prayer, go get whatever. You know what I mean? And just relax a little bit. You know.
I was gonna actually ask if you all had a story when you actually recognized, like, yeah, I'm anxious right now, and you were able to identify what that feeling felt like, and then have maybe a peer or a friend or your partner actually say to you, I guess they were able to recognize that in you, or you recognized it in yourself, and were able to name it, and then find the outlets that you guys mentioned, and use it to get yourself back to a level ground.
Yeah. For real, I think it was recently, like we were all together, and we're trying to get a house. So there was a part where Queen. Can I go on?
Yeah, please.
Okay, cool. Queen had left her job, and I was with it. I was very supportive of that because I want her to be like in a healthy space. There's no need for us to go into the next year. We're trying to get this house. We're trying to do some things, and it's like I want you to be in a healthy space. So when she did it, I was with it, right? But we had this timeline, like at the end of the year, by December, January. So it's like October going into November. And it's been like a couple of weeks. I'm like, all right, maybe you should find something else. Or, you can still look, but let's try to. And I'm getting all this anxiety, and I'm kind of being short. I'm kind of being like a little angry. Like, I mean, I know you're doing this, but can you? And I'm just not being what I need to be. You know what I mean? In that time for her. And she let me know, like, yo, like you really, And then I can hear myself too. Like, I'm like, yo, I shouldn't be doing this. Like we get off the phone. I'm like, yo, I just you know what I mean? I just wilded out. Like that was crazy. And in those moments, and then weeks later, or a couple of days later, I just I noticed how I need to kind of ease back off. I need to kind of let this process actually run its course and not try to like. I was cheering for her to do this, so I can't like. Well, what's up now? Are we going to change the? We going to change the plan, or I'd have to be supportive all the way through it, and be aware that she needs that support right now too. So
that's dope. You guys have a line in the right. Nights like this, I just want to get lost, hop inside the nearest space shuttle and drift off. Yeah. Zeplyn and I were listening to y'all's music, and that just struck me.
It did, literally, that first line.
I was just
that
like,
line.
I was like, yo.
As soon as you said that, he was like, yo, like, this is it. We got to talk about this. Like, it happened just like that.
Yeah. Because you really do have those moments where you just want to escape it. And I think there's a lot of value to that, but you also have to be able to, come back to the situations or scenarios that you have in life. I was wondering if you could talk about what that line meant to you, and then also how escaping can actually propel you forward when you're able to come back.
Yeah, so, wow, that's crazy. So that verse, right? The verse in its completion, like, is really talking about this battle between, working this 9 to 5 and then knowing where I want to be and how that can affect. It's almost like it's talking about my relationship with music, and it's talking about my relationship with Courtney. Nights like this, I swear I just want to get lost. How much had the nearest space shuttle, go ahead and drift off. To me, it's like, really, there was a night and I was sitting there, I was writing that verse, and I was like, man, like, this is like crazy. Like, I'm not really happy, but I know I have to keep up this song and dance, you know what I mean, in order to get where I want to get to. I don't like the job, but the job is funding everything I'm able to do musically. Wow. So it's like, at what point, do you stop fighting, or at what point do you just like take a break and like, dude, like, this is, you know what I mean? Like, this is getting hard. Yeah. One thing I was telling Queen, I always, talk to Queen about this, but one thing about it is like, you got to live with the decisions that you make. And I know that like, this will pay off because you can't stop. At the end of the day, you can't stop. The places that we're in, the rough patches that we go through, actually like birth the music. Those verses come from a real place. When I write that stuff, it's like, it's real. I had to kind of find the good in the bad, if you will. You know what I mean? Like, I know me working this 9 to 5 is causing stress, it's causing friction, but this friction is causing creativity. You know what I mean? If I don't have this friction, I have nothing to express.
Yeah. Would you say the music is almost like the form of escape for you to find the good?
Yeah, it is. It's the outlet. It is the outlet.
So this next segment we have is called What's Really Good.
Okay.
And it's almost like this look in the mirror where you just gotta look at yourself and be like, you know, like, what are you doing right now? Like, why are you like, you know what I'm saying? No, but it's like we kind of go deeper into the topic and just try to get some answers on why we do what we do, you know, what's really good with our deeds. And, you know, I think Hov has this great line on his new album. He's like, you can't heal what you never reveal. When we look at this convo, we could take it a couple ways. But one of the things I really noticed when it comes to the lack of taking time for ourselves is like fear and guilt, and they can play such a huge role in it. And so I'm gonna tell you a quick personal story. It's maybe like 3 or 4 months ago. I was at my best friend's birthday party, and I don't really go out like that, but she wanted to go to Marvin's on 14th Street in DC. You know, so obviously I work in the, you know, the music industry, and I have, you know, different clients I work with, you know, some public, some private. And so one of the artists that I work with, they're like, yo, you never go out at all, like go have fun. So I'm in Marvin's and I send them a snap and they like screenshot it and they're like, oh, okay, like I see you like having a good time. But then maybe 20 minutes in, I start to feel like this anxiety. And I mean, it's a great time and drinks, beautiful women, but I'm like, yo, I gotta go back to work. Like, I don't wanna be in here. I tell my friend like, yo, like I gotta go because this virus is taking over my body right now. Where it's like, that's all I could think about is working. So I leave and then I call the artist and like in the most passive aggressive tone, they're like, yo, you seriously calling me right now? Like, why aren't you out like having fun? But really, I feel like I might lose my edge, like if I'm away from work for too long, and it's gonna mess up any forward progress. And you know, it's honestly like I was just kind of scared to be in there, if I'm truthful. So that's like the fear part. But then we have like this guilt voice, and I think society plays a huge role in that. And they're like, yo, you're not working hard enough. You don't deserve a break. You haven't accomplished what you've wanted to by this age. Personally, I haven't had a birthday party or like a dinner party since I was like 18, just because I felt celebrations were almost bad. And it's almost starting to feel a bit unnatural, but you have these realities. How do you all personally approach fear and guilt and not allow that to stop you from taking time for yourself?
I'll say this, right? So this gentleman, one of the first things I was told when I started working, I met this guy and he talked to me. One of the things he said, it was so crazy to me. We walked outside, we looked at the building, he said, yo, you know, all this is the Matrix. You know, it doesn't even really exist. You know what I mean? You can have money and it could be gone. You know, he was telling me his life story. I come from money, and then something happened to me and they ran up on me, and now it's all gone. I'm no longer that person I was. Because life has changed and it's really all a matrix. It doesn't really exist. So when it comes to like fear and guilt in correlation to taking time off, if I'm going to be honest, some of the things that I feel like we were, I guess, slaving after or really like running ourselves into the ground for, it's a mirage.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like for me, like I really kind of got to go back into my zone. Like, yo, this is real, but it's a fabricated society. We live in a superficial place.
Wow.
You know what I mean? So a lot of the things that we're chasing after, they do have tangible effects, and tangible things can come from these superficial concepts. At the end of the day, like, it's all a game. And that's just my personal perspective.
No, you know what's
that
crazy? There's like two parts of the Andre 3000 quote really stuck out to me. And that last word he says is confrontation. He was like, engaging with the world was a confrontation. And you said it too, almost like, you know, when you talked about how you take on people's energies, you know, or people's mannerisms and different things. And I think we have to be mindful of that. If you're not beholding to what's true to you, like you're beholding to something. For me, this topic was so important was because I think like being able to escape or take time away really helps you to like be in tune with what's true to you. If you don't take the time to deal with the confrontation of what you're beholding to, then, you know, you're gonna just kind of be locked in the matrix.
Yeah, nah, for real. For real.
I do believe that you have to work hard, right? You have to work hard, but you also have to have a balance. They always have something on Facebook like, what would you name your year? This year, balance. It is important to take a break sometimes, and maybe the way you take a break is what works best for you, because even you taking a break is you evolving, because your path is always your path. Your path, our paths are always going to be our paths, as long as we stay true and aligned to what we are aligned with, what our purpose is. So maybe drinks in the club scene is not your scene to release, but maybe going to an open mic is, and you'll be able to be free and not have that anxiety. You know what I'm saying? So it's about how you choose to release and how you choose to take that time to yourself. Because you'll enjoy it, and that peace of mind will help you evolve more, you know? So.
Nah, man, and you know, one thing I was talking to Moon about the other day, a good thing is like you really have to learn from others.
Right.
Like, you know what I mean? When you look at someone like Solomon in the scriptures who says, yo, like I've had all there is to have as a man, you know what I mean? And it doesn't fill that void. And so then you look at Lauryn Hill, when you look at a Kanye, and you know, you see it doesn't fill the void. All the people knowing your name, all the money. Yeah. If you're not really taking that time to like find yourself, you're gonna break regardless, whether you have it or not.
So the next segment is called It's a Vibe. This is really just an opportunity for us to talk about what music particularly that we've been listening to or grooving to that's kind of helped us to stay level. So I wonder, like, what have y'all been listening to stay balanced?
In those times when I know I just need to kind of level out, I'll listen to a lot of jazz, artists like Snarky Puppy, Derek Hodge, Glasper, music without words. You know, I'll listen to that and just kind of let that ride. Or I'll listen to like some real neo soul music, but that has like a substance, like that has some stuff. So I'll listen to like Moonchild, a lot of Glasper. Again, I like what Glasper does with the Black Radio albums and really talking about topics that need to be talked about and having artists deliver on them. Bilal. Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much, that's my move. When I start listening to, you know, jazz, she comes in the car, I'm listening to, you know, Richard Bonet or, you know what I mean, like whoever, you know, that's when it's like I'm just kind of in that zen mode, like, all right, I'm finding my voice. You know what I mean?
I'm that person who will put stuff on repeat every single day because it's just been beating me. So for me, it's been literally the past month, like Marcus said, like since I quit my job, I've been without like a 9-to-5 for almost 2 months, and it's been the best time of my life. Wow. But it has also been a time I've learned so much, and I had to learn about myself and the things that have personally, and I'm happy, and now I'm about to start working at NPR on Monday.
Oh, shout out.
But thank you. So it's like what has got me through these months has literally been Hiatus Coyote. What's that dude named? Dilla J? Not J.
Dilla J.
Like the
J Dilla's brother.
J
yeah.
Oh.
No, his brother.
No. I know who J Dilla is. Yeah, it's his brother.
Yeah, Illa J.
And he has this song. He has this song called Photosynthesis, and it says photosynthesis is in your mind. If you open up, you'll grow so much inside. Wow. That line has got me through. And then, like I said, Hiatus Coyote, the lead singer, she released the album, Nyne, and she has a song called Homebody. And she's saying that home is in your body, and that time always comes around wherever you are. And so those reminders to me to let me know, again, like, you'll evolve as long as you just keep doing what you love to do in a positive way. And everything, time doesn't really exist. So if you just keep loving on yourself and like working and doing things that you love to do, time will align with what you're doing regardless. So you don't have to have that anxiety or compare. I personally have an issue when it comes to self-awareness about comparing my path to other people's. I'm like, oh man, they're there, we're here, how do we get up there? Oh my God. And it's just like,
you're not the only one, by the way.
Yeah, definitely.
You know what I'm saying? Like that's real.
Yeah, it's
very
real.
common. Yeah, very common.
I went to the bookstore, and it's a book, and it literally has stuck in my head. It was one phrase, and it says, "I will not compare my path to others, as it does a disservice to my life itself." Wow. Your path is your path. Yeah. Their path is their path. You can support each other. You don't have to compete. 100. You don't have to hate on anybody. Yeah. You supporting other people and you staying true to yourself and like listening to these positive messages. Yeah. That's what gets you through.
I feel that.
Yeah, what about you, Zep?
Gospel. Man, like I would say probably gospel music. I have just like maybe a 70 or 80 song playlist from current joints to things that I used to hear my parents listening to. Yeah. I never really understood why they listened to it, that emotion that they had when I'll be riding around, you know, their car as a shorty. But I really get that now because it's like, now these are real problems and these people are like singing their pain and how God is helping them through these scenarios. And so really, yeah, it's either nothing and I try to go internal or it's gospel.
That's
what about you?
I've been listening to Abehi's new album. I think it's just Ash, and they have this joint on there called Deathless, and it's an anthem, and it's about the refrain is whatever happens, we are deathless. The story was that Lisa, one of the singers in the group, she was 16 and she was profiled by a police officer in Paris, and the police officer knocked all her stuff down, and then when he found out that she, didn't have any drugs on her, said, "Oh, you can go about your way," but never helped her pick up her stuff. And then she said that, the most egregious thing wasn't the fact that the police officer did what he did. That was terrible. But it was that no one felt courageous enough to step up and intervene. And so they made this song to talk about the fact that it's really important to feel courageous and brave enough to intervene in situations where something happened that wasn't right.
Really quickly, and that was a great segue because you didn't know I was going to ask him this, but I'm going to just take the opportunity right now because I want to speak about homelessness really quickly with you all before we rock, because the courage that you all have lodged within you to stand up for something / anything, I know sometimes we don't do things because we don't necessarily feel like we know how to do it, so we may hesitate. We don't want to get it wrong, but you all mentioned that it's almost a part of your mission. So where is that courage coming from, and why is it so important?
For me, it comes from a very simplistic ideology. I just don't understand how people don't have homes. It's just really that simple. I don't understand why people don't have shelter. When you see people on a day like today, we cold and we jump in our cars and we turn on our heats and we drive and we come inside of here and we sit down and we nice and warm. And then you have people who literally, and it could be because of their choices or it could be because of other circumstances, but either way, they're out there in the cold or out there in the hot heat, and they're almost looked at as like, well, joke's on you because you didn't do something, so you're out here and now we just kind of push you to the side of society. And we forget that these people are people. Yeah. At the end of the day, that's where it comes from. We're all people. You know what I mean? So for me to walk by another person, whether they're hungry or, if they just want a conversation, like we are talking now, we got friends and family we can talk to. Yeah. Imagine being on the street for 5 months, let alone 5 years, and not having no one to speak to. Wow. And we act, we want our people to talk to themselves, whatever the case may be. Yeah. If ain't nobody talking to me for 5 years, you know what I mean? Like, that's crazy. Right. That's crazy. So, that's where it comes from for me,
That was a great answer. To me, it started with when I grew up. I grew up in church, and we always did like a lot of volunteering, things like that. And so you see that it's an issue. But then as I got older, it was the same thing that Marcus just said. It's just that people are people. Yeah. And it hurts my heart to see people who have homes, even if it's you having $500 a month just to get you something to live in. And you look at this other human being and you scoff at them, you spit at them, you mug them, you say all these negative things about them, you talk about them. We use negative connotations. We're like, oh, you look homeless. Or you know what I'm saying? You say stuff and you don't even realize what you're saying. Yeah, yeah. Even if, I feel bad because lately we haven't been able to give as we've wanted to give. But like Marcus just said, even just having conversations with these people. Yeah. And to me, it's so sick that we've gotten to a point in humanity where we don't look at humans as humans. We look at homeless people like animals. Wow. As animals. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, treat others as you want to be treated. And no matter what situation they're going through, whether it was on them or whether it was society, don't question that. You know what I'm saying? Just like, give what you can. You know what I'm saying? And if that's a conversation, that conversation is worth more than silver and gold at the end of the day.
No, I'm just taking it in.
I feel you, man.
Thank
you all so much for for joining us today.
Thank you for having us. Yeah.
So, as we close, can you all give just some final jewels, some final thoughts, on this conversation of really being able to take time, for yourself, last and parting words that, if people hear nothing else, it's like really kind of take this with you.
I would say just think a couple things that have gotten me through now as of lately where I am is, one, understanding that you have everything you need within yourself to go forward, to move forward. You don't have to look outside of yourself. You don't have to compromise yourself. Self is enough, and it has always been enough. So, just let that stuff go. Just let it go. Try not to compare your path to others, again, because it does a disservice to your life. And there's beauty in everything, every moment, good and bad. There's beauty in it. You just gotta look at. It's all about perspective. Looking at the glass is half full instead of half empty.
I would echo a lot of what you said. Having a great perspective really has helped us through. We think the way we think individually and together on a lot of things, but I guess parting words for me to people is really think of what matters. What matters at the end of the day: love, life, time, and your soul. We all have issues. We all have things that we have to deal with on a regular basis, and a lot of those things we can all agree on. Like I said, we want to be happy. We want to be with the ones that we love, and we want to make sure that everyone is okay, or at least enjoying their life and whatever that looks like for them. So again, I just leave with 4 words, man: love, life, time, and peace.
Wow.
One last question for you. I guess what is soul? And just like one word or a phrase, what would it be for each of you?
It's like something sweet. Like it's just like something raw, like honey. It's natural. It's healthy. It's important, and it's in you. It's something that's not tangible. When somebody speaks or what you have in you, when somebody says like, yo, that brother has soul, it's something that's so raw, that's like speaking to your soul. You know what I'm saying? It's just like a love, That's a word.
Soul is like the purest part of you. And I think we all have that. That's why when if someone does something so heinous, they say, where was his soul? Like, I think we all know, we all have it. We all have this part of us that knows, okay, that was too far. We can all agree, whether we knew each other or not.
Yeah.
So I think that the soul is like the purest form of who you are. It doesn't get tainted. You know what I mean? You can go back and you can say, man, look into your soul. We use these phrases. I mean, look into your soul and find it in your heart. These type of things. I think it's the purest part of you.
It's like a raw, pure spirit.
Yeah. That we all have, and it doesn't get tainted. That's why you can always go back to it and say, yo, I need to get my soul right. I need to, I need to get a line. I need to. Wow. So that's my perspective on it.